One thing that often follows with PTSD is bad dreams or nightmares or night terrors, whatever you want to call it. You know what it is. Um, when I first came home from Afghanistan, I had a lot of nightmares. Um, some mornings I wake up and sometimes I wouldn't remember my nightmares, but I would wake up and the bed sheets would be tore off or I'd be covered in sweat. Uh, my wife Vanessa, she told me stories about times that she could hear me crying in my sleep or yelling in my sleep. A lot of times she'd wake me up, and hold me, that kind of stuff. So nightmares can really pay a toll on you too. Play a toll on you because when you're having nightmares, you're losing sleep, and then the next day with little sleep, you're irritable and your fuse is really short. Next thing you know, you're yelling at somebody and you're saying things you don't mean just because you're triggered. So how to deal with those nightmares, I guess, is a good question. And one thing that worked for me was I used to always, when I wake up from a nightmare, I would write them down. Now, there is a drawback to that. I mean, when you wake up and after the nightmare, you start writing them down, getting up out of your bed and writing it down is going to wake you up, and it is going to be harder to get back to sleep. But I found if I waited till the next morning, a lot of times I would forget what the hell my dream was, so I had to write it down right away. If you can remember it, then go back to sleep and write it down the next day so you can get some sleep. But for me, I had to write it down right away. Anyway, when I found when I wrote out the dream, it was almost like I got something off my chest or I got something out of my mind, Also, when I got the dream down on paper, I try to analyze the dream, try to figure it out, because to me, a dream is my mind trying to tell me something. So I would write it down. Sometimes I would go over the dream with my therapist. I also bought a dream book that helped me define certain meanings of things that are in your dream. But being able to figure out certain things that were on my mind really helped those nightmares to go away. So, you can try that. Hopefully it helps you like it helped me. I've heard of people who would write it down and light it on fire, and I heard of people who wrote it down and ripped it up. I personally didn't do anything like that. I just wrote it on paper. Sometimes even my wife would read what I wrote, and she would help me understand it a bit better. Because, I've never hid anything from my wife. I've been totally honest about my PTSD, and she's really come on board and really helped me. So, once again, Vanessa is my PTSD buddy. But anyway, that's my little rant on nightmares and how I really overcome it. Right now, I can honestly say I don't have the nightmares as much as I used to. Occasionally I still have the nightmare. Occasionally I still wake up and the bed sheet is gone, and occasionally there are moments when my wife is telling me a story of something she heard me yelling out while I was sleeping next to her. So, it's like PTSD. It's always going to be there. It's never going to really go away. But together, we're all learning how to live with it a little better. Anyway, that's my rant. PTSD Buddies and Jamie, out.